Hi, kindergartners. Today is a new writing lesson, and today we are going to be learning about how to put an introduction into our how-to books. And we are going to learn that it's important to have an introduction that tells our readers information about our topic in our how-to book before they even read our story. So I'm going to use our how-to book that we made together in class about how to make a sun butter and jelly sandwich. Now, if I was a reader and I had never even heard of a sun butter and jelly sandwich before, and I started reading this book, and the first page says, you need 2 slices of bread, jam, sun butter, and a knife. So if I didn't even know what a sandwich was, and I didn't know what bread was, would I already be confused? I think I would. If I've never had a sandwich and I've never even heard of the word sandwich, I might be confused. So this is when we would take a new piece of paper and add it to our writing book. And we're going to use this as an introduction. Now, if I just said, I think we have to add a page, and it's going to say, this book will teach you how to make a sun butter and jelly sandwich. Does that still help our reader understand what a sandwich is or what a sun butter and jelly sandwich is? Not really. So we have to be more descriptive. And we want to say that it's going to be yummy. So on our last page of our book, we said, we are going to eat our yummy sandwich. So if we're trying to introduce our reader to what a sun butter and jelly sandwich is, we want to get their attention and we want to make them excited about our book. So we're going to tell them it's yummy. So I'm going to write the word yummy as our first word to our introduction. Yummy. And then I'm going to say, do you want to make a yummy sandwich? Do you want to make something yummy? Because that would make me as a reader be like, yeah, I want to eat something really yummy. So I'm going to write, do you, remember our you word, do you want to make something yummy? So if you didn't know what my book was about, and this was the first page you saw, yummy, do you want to make something yummy? Would that make you interested in wanting to read my story? I think it would. And then I could say, a sun butter and jelly sandwich is delicious and easy to make. A sun butter and jelly sandwich is easy to make. And then I would say you just need bread, sun butter, and jelly. You, don't forget our you word, you need sun butter, jelly, and bread. Now, we don't need to be too descriptive in our introduction to our book, because on the next page, we're going to tell them exactly how many pieces of bread and that they're going to need a knife. So we don't have to be too descriptive in our introduction. But I said, yummy. Do you want to make something yummy? A sun butter and jelly sandwich is easy to make. You need sun butter, jelly, and bread. So when I add that introduction to my how-to book, it's easier for my reader to understand what I'm going to be talking about in my how-to book. So now, if I put it into, so let's first read our story. How to make a sun butter and jelly sandwich. You need 2 slices of bread, jam or jelly, sun butter, and a knife. You are going to use the knife to put the sun butter on the bread. You are going to then use the knife to put jelly on the other slice of bread. You are then going to put the 2 slices together to make a sandwich. Last, eat your yummy sandwich. So if we add our introduction into our story, it goes right after our title page because it's going to introduce our story. So now my story is going to say how to make a sun butter and jelly sandwich. Yummy! Do you want to make something yummy? A sun butter and jelly sandwich is easy to make. You need sun butter, jelly, and bread. And then my story is going to start. Your introduction does not need to be long. I just need to know what is important before I start reading. So if you are making a smiley face, your introduction could say, do you want to learn how to draw a smiley face? You just need a paper and a pencil. And then your story can start. And I think some of you guys were saying, first, you're going to draw a circle. So that's how your how-to book should work now. Don't forget to add an introduction. I know that some of you are already done with some how-to books. Some of you are in the middle of writing a how-to book, and some of you are starting a new how-to book. So wherever you are in your writing, I want you to grab a piece of new paper and write your introduction. So if you have finished with a book, you can go back and add an introduction, or if you're just starting a book, introduction first. And if you are in the middle, you can stop and go and add an introduction page. And I want you to make sure that it explains what's really important about your story. So I want you to remember that whatever you are writing about, pretend your reader doesn't know anything about it. So if you're writing about how to play soccer, assume that your reader pretend they know nothing about soccer. They've never even heard the word soccer, okay? So you're gonna write your introduction and then really quick, if you are done with your story and you're working on your last page, you can work on writing a conclusion to your story. And that just means at the very end of your story, so let me grab my story and I'll turn it to the last page. So remember, we used a transition word that said last, and that comes at the end of a story. But another way that we could let our reader know that our story is done is we could be nice to our reader and say goodbye, or we could say thank you for reading. So that's a way that we can do a conclusion for our story. I'm going to write goodbye at the end of my story. So my reader knows that's the end. So when we get to this last page, we'll have a transition word that comes at the end, but we will also conclude our story with telling the reader goodbye or thank you. Okay, so those are some ways that we can tell our reader our story is done. So we want to make sure that when we're writing right now, we are adding a conclusion. That's one thing. And we are adding an introduction page. We want to have an introduction page. Okay, so now I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to pull up our how-to writing book and I'm going to pull up a timer. But while I'm doing that, if you need to go get another piece of paper, you can do that, or you can just start practicing writing your introduction. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and I have to pull up those timer and the how-to text charts. So if you want to start your writing now while I pull this up, you can do that. So here's our checklist. And you should be able to see that. And then I'm going to pull up a timer. Here's our timer. So our timer has started. While I work on pulling up our how-to chart, the timer has started, so make sure that you're writing. And you're going to add an introduction and a conclusion, which is one or two words that will make sure your reader knows your story is over. All right. So I am going to turn my video off now. All right, writers, time is up. And you guys did a wonderful job today writing. I'm so proud of you guys for working on adding an introduction to your story and a conclusion. If you didn't finish, that's okay. You can keep working or maybe work on it a different day this week. But I'm so excited to see your how-to books on Friday when you share them on Flipgrid to see your introductions and your conclusions. Bye!